For 27 years, a critical memory vulnerability sat unnoticed inside OpenBSD, one of the most heavily fortified operating systems on the planet. Human researchers missed it, automated scanners missed it, but an AI found it in minutes, and it cost about $50. That discovery came from Claude Mythos, an unreleased frontier model by Anthropic. It's so capable at offensive security that Anthropic formed Project Glasswing, a coalition of major tech companies, to quietly find and patch vulnerabilities across critical infrastructure before this technology gets into the wild. Finding deep system flaws requires armies of security researchers writing custom fuzzers over months or years. That doesn't scale. These new models operate at machine speed. Traditional research for the OpenBSD zero-day costs tens of thousands in labor. Mythos ran it for under $50. These offensive capabilities weren't explicitly trained. They emerged from better reasoning. Mythos chained vulnerabilities because its logic grasped how flaws trigger each other. This creates a massive dilemma. Deploying autonomous AI offers unparalleled proactive defense, but because these agents combine high-level reasoning with the ability to execute code, they introduce a significant new security risk. To use this level of capability without compromising your own network, you have to stop thinking of AI as a software tool. You are dealing with a highly privileged, highly volatile digital employee. Let's look at what it actually takes to deploy something like the Glasswing model for proactive patching. To get these results, you have to give the model deep, unfettered access to your raw, stripped binaries and your core system architecture. In return, the AI reconstructs the source code and flags zero-day memory corruption bugs and deep logic flaws faster than any human team could read the documentation. That's how a 16-year-old bug in FFmpeg, one that survived 5 million automated fuzzing tests, gets caught. It's also how a model autonomously writes a working exploit chain for a free BSD server from scratch. This creates a direct mechanical conflict. The reasoning required to map a system for defense is identical to the logic needed to build an exploit. This chart plots defensive strategies by effort and risk. If an attacker gains access to the agent's context window or its outputs, they don't have to find the exploit themselves. Your AI has already generated the weaponized attack chain for them. Proactive AI defense works perfectly, right up until the moment it's compromised. The exact mechanism used to map your system can be stolen to dismantle it. That risk isn't limited to unreleased frontier models. It applies directly to the commercially available autonomous agents, like Devon, that engineering teams are using right now. These goal-oriented agents are designed to work independently. You give them terminal control, API privileges, and read and write access to your repositories, and they go to work. The productivity gains are undeniable. Tasks that used to sit in the engineering backlog for weeks are completed in hours. But this workflow introduces a severe architectural vulnerability known as the semantic von Neumann flaw. In traditional computing, the von Neumann architecture mixed code and data in the same memory space, leading to buffer overflows. AI agents recreate this flaw at the semantic level. They process your system instructions and untrusted external data within the exact same context window. Because the agent can't distinguish between a command you wrote and text it scraped from a web page, it is highly vulnerable to indirect prompt injections. We saw this play out in the 2026 Klein supply chain attack. An attacker embedded a malicious instruction inside a standard GitHub issue title. An AI triage bot read the title, interpreted the hidden text as a command, and poisoned the project's CI/CD cache. Without strict separation between what an agent reads and what it's allowed to execute, an autonomous developer easily becomes a frictionless pipeline for attackers to exploit your infrastructure. The shift toward autonomy is forcing a reevaluation of the software development lifecycle. As AI agents absorb the structured tasks of writing unit tests, documentation, and routine boilerplate, the human developer's role is shifting. Time once spent on manual syntax is being redirected towards defining objectives and auditing outputs, moving the role from manual coder toward a system governor. When one human orchestrates a fleet of AI agents, development velocity scales exponentially, but that speed creates what the industry calls the accountability gap. When an agent generates thousands of lines of technically correct but incredibly complex code, human reviewers struggle to audit it. Bugs slip through, architectural drift creeps into production, and the person approving the pull request doesn't actually understand the system they're deploying. This diagram illustrates the only proven fix: agent identity governance. You have to implement strict zero-trust protocols, isolate the control planes from the data planes, and establish mandatory human-in-the-loop kill switches. The catch is that setting up this governance requires massive upfront infrastructure investment. And by design, it severely throttles the theoretical speed of your AI. True security in the Autodev era isn't about letting the AI run as fast as possible. It's about intentionally slowing the machine down just enough for human governors to maintain control. The era of manual software defense and hand-typing syntax is economically obsolete. Relying solely on human security researchers to protect your infrastructure is no longer a viable strategy against machine speed capabilities. If deploying autonomous agents, follow this decision matrix. It starts with one question: do you have zero-trust governance for non-human identities? For enterprise CISOs, proactive patching is mandatory for survival, but treat these agents as hostile insiders. If isolated, deploy goal-oriented agents. Your immediate mandate is to secure budget for identity governance infrastructure before a single agent accesses production. If the answer to that first question is no, the engineering path routes downward to human-in-the-loop tools like Copilot Workspace. Lacking strict governance means you have to trade maximum autonomy for architectural control. The AI writes the plan, but a human must explicitly approve every action before it executes. Finally, for the individual developer, the required career pivot is already here. Your longevity in this industry now depends entirely on your ability to perform adversarial testing, audit system architecture, and review complex reasoning chains. Success in the Autodev era requires a governance framework strong enough to contain the intelligence working inside it.